Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Jake.
This is Fleric.
This is Mac.
And this is our recap episode for the Hatsu basho. And, of course, first things first, we have to get to the most important business. Oh, losing pair, wherefore art thou losing pair? Deny thy honor and refuse thy pride, or, if thou wilt not, be my sworn sukebitos, and you will call me your yokozuna.
All right, guys, I'm just going to hang up. This if he's going to do the voice with it and everything, I'm out.
Yokozuna Ryan, oh Yokozuna Ryan, wherefore art thou, Yokozuna Ryan?
I'm in my home.
Mac has both of you covered, Jake.
Wherefore means why, though?
Yes, exactly. Why are you the Yokozuna Ryan?
Oh, because I did better than you.
Well, no, well, duh.
Yeah, he got us.
We'll get to that later.
He got us. I'm going to go ahead and apologize from the beginning here for my energy level. We've been dealing with some big old pet emergencies that basically ruins my whole enjoyment of the second week of this basho. But I'm here.
Plus 13 inches of snow.
And yes, but I'm here. I had some caffeine. I'm going to do my best. Yokozuna Ryan, I'm going to do my best.
Okay, thank you.
One section of the podcast at a time.
Yes. I am somewhat happy. I will take it one section
brand
at a
of
time.
podcasting.
Everybody's doing okay now, though.
Good.
I can't wait for your brand of podcast. Now go ahead and tell actual life story updates.
Yes, my brand of podcast. No, Daisy, the new puppy, she had all sorts of digestive issues, so she was in and out of the emergency vet a handful of times. And then Kif, our diabetic cat, he's going through the first time we've had to deal with it so far, but low blood sugar emergencies, which are pretty messed up and scary. So yeah, I am exhausted. And yes, it has. That does include the fact that it has been several days since the basho ended and all of these issues have been mostly wrapped up. But Jesus, I'm so tired.
I hope every time you bring up Kif, you always say, Kif, the diabetic cat. Because I don't know, for some reason that just gives me enjoyment.
Okay. I don't know, I just don't expect all the listeners to keep track of all four of my pets.
Just so everybody knows, Kif is the diabetic one. All right, let's start talking about sumo.
Also be known that Tsukibito Jake does not think the audience is that smart.
Yes.
Oh, ouch.
It is specifically because I look down on the audience. It's nothing to do with the fact that there's 7 pets on this podcast. It's all just about my actual feelings about the audience.
All right, so let's start talking about what people actually want us to talk about, and that is sumo wrestling, the results of the Hatsu basho, where for the 6th straight year we had another first-time Yusho winner, this time in the form of Maegashira 1 West Daisho. Jake, who is Daisho?
Who?
He's an old wooden ship.
What? No. He's a top state of the art jet fighter.
No. Clearly, this man is some type of weird reverse frog with pistons for arms.
Yeah, a new Pokemon or something, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. How close are we, Ryan?
Did we get it?
He's a sumo wrestler.
Oh.
He's ranked Maegashira 1 West. I do believe this is the first time we've ever brought him up on the show, though.
I swear I've
Missed
never heard
it
that
by
name.
that much.
This is obviously his first career Yusho. For the June Yusho, for the Hatsu basho, we had 3 winners of that. We had Ozeki Shodai, who went 11-4, his 3rd career June Yusho. Asanoyama also went 11-4 for his 3rd career June Yusho. And Sekiwake Teru no Fuji went 11-4 for his 6th career June Yusho and his 2nd straight. We had 4 special prizes given out. The Gino Show Technique Prize, we had 3 people take that one this time. One of those being the aforementioned Teru no Fuji, getting his 3rd career Gino Show, his 3rd in the past 4 basho, too, and his 8th overall special prize. We had the Yusho winner, Daisho, pick up a technique prize as well. His 1st career technique prize and his 3rd special prize overall.
Really?
And we had Yeah.
Really, though? It seems like one that they don't generally give to pusher thrusters who just kind of push and thrust a whole basho. It's kind of weird.
I don't know.
Yeah, usually not. But if you're really good at it,
If you really believe hard enough.
It's not that I don't think that, he did good technique. It's just I'm kind of surprised. Also, because this is the first time I'm hearing this list. I told you I was behind.
I would look up to see if Takakeisho has ever won a special prize, but I can't because Sumo DB is down.
Fifth member of the podcast not pulling his weight today.
Yep. But the third winner of the Gino Show Technique Prize, Jake might think this one is more apropos. The newcomer Midori Fuji. He got his, obviously, first career Technique Prize and his first special prize overall, and it's probably because he won 5 of his 9 matches by Katatsukashi, the extremely rare kimarite that Midori Fuji uses in, 1 out of every 5 wins overall in his career. Obviously, over 50% this basho.
Yokozuna Ryan, what were you wanting to know about Takakeisho?
Has he ever won a Gino Show Technique Prize?
Yes, he has one too.
All right. So there
Sumo
you go.
DB is up. I'm opening 1,000,000 tabs as fast as I possibly can.
oh, it's up. Let's go.
Yep.
I used a different source, but okay.
It is back up.
Also, Ryan, it's quite a bit more than a fifth of his wins. He's got 35 out of 132 total wins in his career by Katatsukashi.
Okay. So
that's about
a little over
27%.
25%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, very impressive for him, I guess. He's found his niche, at least. And we had a Shukun Show Outstanding Performance Prize awarded to Daisho. This is his 3rd career Outstanding Performance Prize and his 4th special prize overall. Nobody went home with the Kanto Show Fighting Spirit Prize, and that is in no small part due to Kagayaki, who was very bitter that he was not in contention for any special prizes because, once again, he had a losing record. And so he was going up against Aki Seiyama on the final day, and Aki Seiyama, if he won that match, would win the Fighting Spirit Prize. And so Kagayaki brought it like he never brought it this entire tournament, finally had a fire lit under his ass, because if he could deny somebody the Fighting Spirit Prize that he would never be given, it would make him finally feel something in the dohyo, I feel like. That's at least what I think happened and why Kagayaki won that match.
Or you could say that, the Shimpan were a little jealous of Akiseyama's wonderful good looks, and thus called a mono-e and took his victory from him, but yeah, that's another discussion.
That guy has a bod. When I think of a bod made for sumo, I think of Akiseyama. That guy, he has it going on.
I absolutely do not. That bod is not fit for anything.
But it got him a Kachikoshi.
It's a minor miracle if I've ever seen one.
It's barely fit for human eyes. We're not generally we're sumo fans. We understand that everybody's body carries weight differently, and we're not here to body shame, usually.
Yeah, I was going to say, but except, we kind of are, but...
Oh, man, he's just,
But it worked. He played to his strength. He got a Kachikoshi. He did okay.
Yeah, I know that Kagayaki is sad, but he got the Fleric Fighting Spirit because that actually turned out to be one of the many moving parts where I ended up not losing the prediction series.
Okay,
so
Fleric,
we'll get to
simmer
that.
Simmer down.
Yeah.
We'll get to the prediction series.
Kagayaki,
there's a whole...
you're right.
Wait a minute, we have a Kagayaki fan, and it is Fleric.
It's starting.
It's the most specific and prestigious accolade to Kagayaki's name.
It's as close as he's going to get to a prize.
I should make him a Kashimawashi.
Oh, God.
Oh, and we also have the special prize that we were competing for because of the predictions that we made on the preview episode. And just say Jake and I tied to win that. We each are taking home a special prize because we got each of the predictions absolutely correct, as we both predicted the most boring thing to happen this basho.
Yes,
bravo,
indeed.
You're exactly what you wanted to be. Boring.
Yep. Ryan and I, exactly the same level of competence at sumo predictions. That's correct.
You are the same person. We've discussed this.
You're being terrible at showing rank to your Ryan, I guess. Apparently, I can't talk today either.
Fleric words.
But Jake, you should try addressing our podcast host one more time.
You mean my equal, Ryan? my peer in sumo prediction?
You better put some respect on that name, boy.
Yeah, I apologize, Yokozuna Ryan, but it was all for the joke, and I will do that again anytime.
Fair.
But yes, you're right. I do owe you one Yokozuna Ryan every so often.
Every time you address me is how often.
Yep.
All right.
Every so often, indeed.
Enough of that. I just wanted to tie up that loose end from the preview. I actually lost a lot of enthusiasm for that whole prediction thing once Hakuho was out, and then Takakeisho just crapped the bed immediately, and Kakuryu never gave it a chance. So it just lost all the fun even before the basho started. So let's talk about Daieisho, our Yusho winner. We need to spend some time on Daieisho because we haven't in this podcast before, and the guy just put his stamp on the world of sumo wrestling. The Yusho race wasn't that exciting. Shodai ended up losing the last two matches in his final 2 days, so Daieisho ended up, even though he didn't clinch it until the final day, he still ended up winning by 2 matches. So not really an exciting Yusho race where we need to go beat by beat to figure out how he won. He won 13 matches. The next best guys won 11. That's what happened. But I do want to kind of just take a look at Daieisho and his slow and steady rise to the pinnacle of sumo wrestling, because we never really had a chance to look at him before. So I think right now is the best time to get to know Daieisho and how he got here. So he was 18 years old when he debuted in the Haru Basho of 2012, and he was known as Daishoe in his first few bashos. Just switched a couple syllables around a couple bashos later to become Daieisho. He won the Jonokuchi Yusho in his debut. He then just spent 1 basho in Jonidan, and then he got to Sandanme, where he spent 3 basho. Then he was up to Makushita for 2, back down to Sandanme, where he won the Sandanme Yusho, never back down to that level. He spent the next year in Makushita before he would go on to Juryo, and he would never go back to the unsalaried ranks after making it to Juryo for the first time. So he spent the next 7 basho in Juryo before making his Makuuchi debut in Aki 2015 at the age of 21. So made his Makuuchi debut 3 years after joining sumo wrestling. He was fairly even in Juryo, kind of how we talked about. He had that year plus straight where he was like 8-7, 7-8. He never really had more than 10 wins or more than 10 losses, always hovering around the middle. And after he made his Makuuchi debut, he was quickly back down to Juryo because it was only a 2 basho stint in Makuuchi. Went down to Juryo for 1 basho before he made it up to Makuuchi again for 4 more basho before dropping down to Juryo again. And there he would spend 2 basho back in Juryo, winning the Juryo Yusho in Hatsu of 2017 with a 12-3 record, his first record with more than 10 wins in his career. So after that Juryo Yusho, he was promoted to Makuuchi for the 3rd and final time, and he started a strange period of volatility for Daieisho, where for 3 straight basho, he went 12-3, 11-4, and 4-11. So not really hovering around the middle, kind of extremes one way or the other in how good he was doing. But then he figured that was enough of that, and then proceeded to not win or lose 10 matches in a basho for the next 17 basho. So it's almost 3 straight years where he never did better than 10 wins, never did worse than 10 losses.
But a lot of those were actually winning records, so he was kind of slowly crawling up the Bansuke.
Yes. And so breaking into the Joy was a lot like getting into Makuuchi with him, where he got to Makuuchi, then dropped back to Juryo. Got back to Makuuchi, dropped back to Juryo, then Makuuchi, and now I'm here for good. So he made it to Maegashira 3 in Natsu of 2017, and then he immediately got knocked back down to like Maegashira 10 or something. And then the next year at Natsu, he made it back to Maegashira 3 again, before once again getting knocked out of the Joy.
Seeing
But
a pattern
then-
here.
Third time's the charm. In Haru of 2019, he made it to Maegashira 2 and has been in the Joy ever since for the past 11 basho. So during that time, after he hit Maegashira 2, that's where he had his infamous streak of 7 straight 8-7 or 7-8 records, starting in Haru 2019, where he did make it to Komosubi twice in that time. So he broke into Sanyaku, dropped out. Broke into Sanyaku, dropped out. But since that string of 8-7, 7-8, he's been doing a lot better, or worse in one instance, over the past 4 basho.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
So he's gone 11-4, 5-10, 10-5, and now 13-2. And then that 11-4 got him up to Sekiwake for the first time in his career. But now, after this 13-2 record, he will be back in the Sanyaku ranks for the third time in his career. Will the third time be the charm for Daisho? Do you think, Flerick, that he's going to be able to make it stick this time like he has the previous times where he's broken like the Makuuchi barrier, the Joy barrier, now the Sanyaku barrier? Do you think he sticks around at the Sekiwake Komosubi ranks or maybe even further?
Yeah. You just spent like a couple minutes kind of describing how he had a career of like slowly getting up or like have a nice jump up, but like a big jump up is usually like followed by a big fall down again. So obviously he's going to follow this up with probably like maybe a 6-9 or maybe another 5-10 and drop back down.
Balanced.
But no,
as all
honestly,
things should be.
Yeah, as all things should be. Just follow patterns. Don't follow. But no, it's hard to say. Like, he looked really good right now. I do think, I think his first week was top notch of where he was just very focused. It's followed by another, the second week of not facing, any Sanyaku, and I felt like getting lucky in a couple instances. So I think he still has the streakiness kind of a little bit about him that I'm not too confident, but judging by his slow, steady climb, he's definitely probably going to be Yokozuna by 2040 or something like that.
Hot take from Flerick.
It's the only reasonable explanation. But so, Jake, we mentioned that he's kind of like a pusher thruster. Were you able to take some time to look and see just exactly how does Daisho win his matches?
Oh, buddy, is he a pusher thruster? So this will shock you, but his number one Kimarite is Oshidashi, which compared to, he uses that he wins by that method 70% more often than average. But I think one of the ones that's also kind of driving this home is Tsukidashi is his second most used technique, which he uses about 4 times as much as average. And after that, basically the rest of his moves here are either, other variations like Oshitaoshi or a bunch of pulling techniques. So Hataki Komi, Tsukiotoshi, Hikiotoshi, all 3 of those are also in his top 5 of techniques, and all of them he uses more often than normal, or more often than average. In particular, Hikiotoshi he uses about 2.5 times as often as average. Yorikiri, he has only won by that technique 22 times in his career. 75% less often than normal. I'm pretty sure that Takakeisho still has the title on that one, but
By far.
Yeah, but regardless.
Or Abi.
But on his losing techniques, unsurprisingly, because he generally tries to get into pushing matches, his most common losing Kimarite is Oshidashi, but only a little bit more often than average. What I found kind of interesting is that despite how much he uses pulling techniques, he also loses by pulling techniques quite a bit. So it seems like his matches, if you were to create a trend here, start out trying to push, and then one of the guys immediately tries to pull. Because a huge portion of his matches end with somebody trying to pull, whether he's on the winning or losing end of it. But obviously, winning or losing end of it, he's trying to do pushing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like, and I kind of saw this in his battles, like he's really good at pushing, and so it kind of makes sense that when he's against people who are feeling like they're getting out-pushed, that they try to pull right away.
Yeah,
so
it's not to Onosho levels where, all of his losses are by somebody just sidestepping him, or pulling him down when he overcommits. But it's the similar pattern, I suppose. I think it's also dissimilar from Onosho in that I'm not sure Onosho understands there is a reverse gear.
There is only forward.
Yeah, so Daisho, obviously, if you just watch the tournament, very big pusher thruster, but it's just nice to kind of see how far beyond like the normal Rikishi he is in that realm. I think especially like you mentioned the Tsukidashi, which is so very hard to distinguish the difference between Oshidashi and Tsukidashi. But I think Tsukidashi, your arms are just like more straight out than like an Oshidashi one.
I think it's more like, are you pushing him out by individual strikes or by a straightforward push?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I think that's the difference. I'd love to be corrected there if I'm wrong.
Now, I usually like what Yokozuna or Ryan was saying. I look at arm extensions and I look at where the shoving actually is. If it's more of like a direct full front attack versus a side attack or anything like that, I thought that's what distinguishes it.
It looks like based on definition, I was right as usual. I'm always right. No, it's push out versus thrust out is the different phrasing. So I'm thinking it's thrusting as in like Tsupari pushing strikes,
Makes sense. But I think something we saw out of Daisho this basho was just a level of power we hadn't seen from him. His ability to just blow guys up right off of the tachi-ai and then just use that forward momentum to send them out of the dohyo immediately. And like Flerick mentioned, there's a lot more of that in the first week, and he got a couple of lucky matches in the second week where he had to do a little bit of Tawara ballet. And yeah, Flerick, you wanted to bring something up.
Oh yeah, I want to the lucky kind of wins. Let's talk about that hair pull. Did you guys saw that, right?
Day 12. Oh yes.
If the Shimpan didn't see it, how could I have?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. You had slow-mo replay. You could clearly see him gripping the hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It didn't affect the outcome of the match. Clearly,
come on.
Don't believe that in the least. It's crazy that I still find it crazy that stuff can go to a mono-e of where we're assuming that it's kind of checked by video. I guess maybe they could just confer between each other, saying stuff like, "Oh yeah, we I saw this," and if all the Shimpan agree, maybe it doesn't go to video review. But I don't know. I feel like for something that just got obviously missed, it's when you watch the video, it's crazy that they didn't at least take a second to talk to the video Shimpan to try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and I think could be a couple of things. It could be we just don't fully know the rules for hair pull, so if it doesn't immediately lead to the loss of the Rikishi, and I don't remember exactly when the hair pull happened in the match, so maybe it did, like he was pulling his hair as he went down, and that was the final move.
It was exactly that. As he was going down, he kind of got a little off balance as soon as he kind of was pushing his hair head, which his fingers were definitely entangled in that hair.
Totally.
Nice, good grip.
Yeah. The other thing that I saw somebody on Twitter said is they were looking at the replay because they were worried about the feet, and so they just kept looking at the feet, and their eyes never made it up.
Oh god. I'm getting some Liverpool VAR PTSD. Or they were looking at the offside, so they didn't see the obvious person diving into someone's knee, kind of thing. Oh god, bullshit. Yeah. I will say though, the fact that Daisho won by 2, this one win wasn't really, it didn't end up being a factor overall. So I think that's kind of
true.
He definitely backed up with the other one, the rest of the basho with a very strong effort, and he won. And won enough matches that it didn't come into question, I guess.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So that hair pull did not make the difference in him winning the Yusho. I think it is still important to point out that the last Rikishi to get 14 wins or more in a tournament is still Toku Shoryu. How that is a fact, I don't know. But it is more than a year since somebody has gotten more wins in a tournament than Toku Shoryu did.
An M17 Rikishi, no less.
Yeah, not even Ozeki Takakeisho in his Yusho winning performance in November could get more than 14 wins, but he had a much different performance this basho.
He couldn't even get 3 wins.
Do you mean 14 or more, Ryan?
Yeah, that's what I. Is that not what I said?
Oh,
said
yeah,
more
I'm sorry.
than-
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Tied with or exceeding.
right. Because we have had somebody get more than 14 wins, but that was at the beginning of 2019, when the last time Hakuho went undefeated.
Yeah, but that wasn't since Tokushoryu.
No, I know.
Okay.
I was just confused by I get it now. I'm with you.
Okay, perfect.
Jake's caught up.
Fantastic. But as we were talking about Takakeisho, he's something this tournament. He got 2 wins, and he had to go Kyujo on day 10. I never saw any report as to what injury he cited for his reason for going Kyujo.
They cited the left ankle injury.
Left ankle, okay. So that must have... Something looked weird in his day 3 match against Hokuto Fuji where he kind of collapsed. I wonder if maybe something happened there. But even if it did happen there, he still looked like dog shit before that.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah, no, it was not good. That you summed it up perfectly there, Yokozuna Ryan.
Yeah,
like
it was definitely interesting. Like I said in the first day, Hakuho unfortunately COVID and not participating. That was very sad. And then we were hit with another left hook of Kakuryu kind of stepping out. But it's okay, at least we have Asanoyama Shodai Takakeisho vying for the Yusho. This is gonna be okay. But then Takakeisho
We were
coming out with that
denied.
performance. Yeah, it was just expectations. Why?
2021 was looking to be such an amazing year. Why?
But so Mac, we don't think it was the injury. If he did suffer one in that day 3 match against Hokuto Fuji, what do you think caused his poor performance this basho? Because, like we said, he looked awful from the get-go.
Honestly, Yokozuna Ryan, I think it was the stress. I think there was so much riding on this, and it just got to him. I mean, he was right there. He was at the pinnacle. If he kicked ass in this tournament, the rope discussion would be a definite for him. Okay, you've done fantastic. You're right there. You're right at the cusp of Yokozuna. And I think all of it just ate him. It was one of those moments where it's oh my gosh, it's right here. I can't screw up. I can't screw up. I can't screw up. Couple that with a supposed ankle injury, and oh god, now what do I do? And he just downward spiraled from there. I mean, he spiraled from day 1, honestly, but I think it was just a combination of stress and maybe some other internal things, other injuries apart from that. Who knows? But now I think he just choked at the end. I think he got into his own head.
Yeah, I think that could be all of it. I definitely think it's part of it. He was lacking the power that we saw from him the last tournament. He had no stamina whatsoever, and I don't know that he really had stamina the last tournament either. He got his guys out of the ring before that ever became an issue. But yeah, it was just so... I don't think we've ever really seen Takakeisho do that poorly in a tournament. I'm going to take a quick look back just to see his previous records, but there's no time where he did this poorly over this long of a stretch of time. You got to go back to 2018 when he was a Maegashira 3. He went 3-8 before pulling out of a tournament on day 10 again. So that's the last time he looked this bad. But I mean, we've seen him win 2 Yusho since then and get promoted to Ozeki. So you'd think he'd be kind of beyond M3 shenanigans.
The power that we are used to seeing from Takakeisho was equivalent to what Daisho was putting out. I mean, when Takanosho flew across the ring, that is what we have been expecting from Takakeisho. That is the kind of Oshisumo that this guy is known for, just dominating, firing off the line, getting his opponent off balance, and then shoving him with those powerful arms, though small, out of the ring. And it just wasn't there. It was a completely different person we saw wrestling.
Are you implying that Daisho took a sumo mojo vacuum and just sucked up Takakeisho's pushing ability?
Hey, at this point, I'm willing to believe anything because I don't believe that was the true Takakeisho we saw. If he indeed lost his mojo, he's got to go back and get it.
Yep. So Daisho confirmed sumo succubus.
Yes. Is he a vampire? Have we ever seen him out like during daytime?
Yes, I'm fairly positive most tournaments happen during daytime.
He must have some great sunblock.
Okay.
So yeah, Takakeisho, he ended up going 2-13 overall once you account for those absences. So that means he will be Kadoban for the Haru Basho. So he will need to get 8 or more wins in order to remain at the Ozeki rank. Yokozuna dreams are far out the window at this point. He's got to start from square one again, which is winning a Yusho. But there were 2 Kadoban Ozeki this tournament that were able to clear the 8-7 mark, those being Asanoyama and Shodai. And they both ended up getting June Yusho this Basho, so they were both looking pretty good. Asanoyama, I would say, he got stronger as the Basho went on, where Shodai seemed to fade as the Basho went on. Jake, what did you think of the 2 other Ozeki in this tournament?
I think that I was happy to see that they both proved that, they weren't here by flukes. Or at least in my mind, that's kind of what their performances indicated to me. After the injuries last time to both of these guys, it was kind of worrying that, maybe they weren't long for the rank, but I think they did well enough. You nailed it that Asanoyama kind of came on late and Shodai faded late. But regardless, they both got up to 11 wins. And I think that's a good sign that we do have, that they are solidly in this top class of new generation wrestlers. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Asanoyama was able to win 8 of his final 9 matches, and that one out of those final 8 he wasn't win. His nemesis right now, Teruno Fuji.
The Kaiju.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. Teruno Fuji just has Shodai's number. It's not Asanoyama's number. It's fantastic.
Both.
Did I lose you guys, or did we all just stop talking for some reason?
We all just stopped talking. I just said, both, because Teruno Fuji beat both of them.
That is true. He did beat both of them. It looks like Teruno Fuji and Shodai actually have an even record against each other.
2 of those, actually, Teruno Fuji has a slight edge. They're technically 6-6, but 2 of them are Fusen wins by Shodai. So really, they're more like 6-4 in favor of Teruno Fuji.
Still, I bet Asanoyama wishes he had that kind of percentage against Teruno
No
Fuji.
kidding.
Yeah.
For sure, but still.
It's hard for anybody to have a winning record against Teruno Fuji, really. I know we're still kind of talking about Asanoyama and Shodai, but since we're talking about streaky people, weirdly, Teruno Fuji, I don't think he's beaten Takanosho. Yeah, Teruno Fuji is 0-4 against Takanosho in his career.
Really?
How is that a thing?
Wow.
I don't know, but it is.
So they fought twice in Juryo in 2018. So that's when Teruno Fuji was on his downswing. And then they fought in Aki of this year when they were both Maegashira 1, Takanosho 1. And then they fought in this past tournament when they were both Sekiwake, and Takanosho won again. So that's it's always so weird to see who does really good against one person. And by the transitive property, Takanosho should never lose to Asanoyama.
Never.
Nope.
I was scanning through for other people that have the edge on Teruno Fuji. There are not a lot of them. Obviously, there's Hakuho, who's like 9-4 over Teruno Fuji. And then weirdly, I came across Ikioi is 8-3 against Teruno Fuji.
Wow. It's zombies. You can't beat them, man.
But that's kind of it. Like, nobody else really has like more than a couple matches against him, and also, has the edge in the matchups.
So even like Koto Shogiku, Kisei no Sato, Goedo, Kakuryu, Haruma Fuji, kind of like his contemporaries when he was at the top of his power?
Well, let's see. I actually I miss Kisei no Sato. That's a good one here. They are 3-12 in favor of Kisei no Sato.
Oh, wow.
Even better than Hakuho's record.
Yeah, 4-7 in favor of Kakuryu in that matchup. That one's not super wide. I think Ikioi just kind of stuck out because, like, really?
Ikioi?
Yeah.
Ikioi?
But yeah, Teruno Fuji, he is keeping his Ozeki dreams alive because he had 13 wins in November. He had 11 wins here in January for a total of 24 wins. And so if we're looking at that magic 33 number, that would be 9 wins, but I don't think 9 wins is going to get him an Ozeki promotion.
No.
I think it's got to be minimum of 10, I think should get him promotion for Ozeki. But it kind of brings me to a question. Since he's come back into Makuuchi, he's been probably the best Rikishi. He's probably gotten the most wins over that time. He's got 1 Yusho. He's got 2 Jun Yusho in the past 2 Basho. Is he the best active Rikishi right now? Even including the Yokozuna, if you want. Is Teruno Fuji the best active Rikishi right now? Let's start with Mac. What do you think?
I think, yes, honestly. And if we're going to factor in the Yokozuna, yeah, I think he's definitely, looking at his record, looking at how far he's climbed and his performance, I have to say he is the best active right now. Definitely has the most going for him.
Anybody disagree with that right now? Or are we all kind of on the...
I'll disagree. I'll say Shodai is the best Rikishi right now.
Flerick, who are you?
He won 13 of the last 15 matches against the same people as Teruno Fuji. So I think he's the best.
Flerick, okay, hold on. I would
who are
like
you
it
talking about?
noted...
Daisho.
I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Did I say someone different the first time?
Yes,
Shodai.
you said Shodai.
Yeah, no.
So I was like, I want this on record here.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
2 out of the 3 same syllables, so I'll give you credit there.
Yeah. No. That you're right to call me out on that. That is just blasphemy. That's crazy talk. But no. I say it. Obviously, I'm kind of getting a little pedantic on what we decide is the best, But like on the day is Daisho showed up better, more consistent, which I think maybe you were trying to allude to more often. I think he's definitely shown to be the most consistent with just his crazy 2020 year. Other than that one time when he went Fusen, he still got 8 wins and was able to keep his rank alive.
That was Aki. That was September.
Yeah, and if you count like his time below Makuuchi, he's just had winning record after winning record, like in the very, very high, like number of wins and very few losses. I think consistency-wise, he's doing great. But who's the best Rikishi in the last tournament? It was Daisho because he won more matches.
I think the other thing worth noting here is that Teruno Fuji, like, I think I would agree, like, if we just like every discussion like this, we have to bring health into play. And I feel like Teruno Fuji, even if we do agree that he's like the best, most consistent, the guy who's most likely to win more matches than anyone else, that could all completely change in a second. Because I feel like he's just held together with prayers and duct tape,
Like Ikioi.
Right. So, but like as long as he's doing sumo the way that he wants to do it, and not needing to like jump off the edge of the dohyo or anything like that too often. Yeah, I think I would agree. Like I'd favor him against anybody except for Takanosho, of course. But
Chalk
yeah,
that up as a loss right now.
Takanosho has like dirt on him or something.
Yeah, right. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to pick him to win the next Yusho because even if he wins like 14 matches in a row or something, well, okay, 14 would probably do it. Even if he wins like 10 matches in a row, like the next day, every single day could be the last one for his knees that tournament,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let me frame it this way. If Hakuho was in the Haru Basho at the level of health we understand Hakuho to be, and Teruno Fuji obviously entering at the level of health we understand him to be, who would you favor to win the Yusho if it was just between those two, if those were your only 2 options?
I would probably favor Teruno Fuji, simply because I put a lot of stock into recent performance, and Hakuho coming off of probably not much training, also having a COVID, which, you don't know how hard that hit him. But I think no news is probably good news. So I will probably go with Teruno Fuji.
I think I would go with Hakuho still.
Ooh. the recent.
That's a tough
his
one.
Domination still has that. So has the impression
He's still
on you.
Hakuho. I mean, you can't count him out.
Yeah, I think in any argument, if Hakuho is an answer, I'm taking Hakuho. Like, if I had a multiple choice test, it was like, hey, what's 2 + 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? Is it Hakuho? I'm choosing Hakuho.
And thus, your engineering career has developed as it has.
Multiple
actually, you
choice
are a good
question,
engineer,
like
so well
multiple
done.
choice question, same thing. Who is the best at tennis out of Hakuho and all the players who play tennis? Ryan's still thinking about it.
Yeah.
What do you mean thinking about it? That's Hakuho all day, every day.
Well, I mean, this is why you always have to lose your last career match in professional wrestling, right? Because
Yeah.
you need to give the shine to somebody else. And when we're stuck here with Hakuho sitting on the sidelines, we just doubt no matter what, and regardless of if he would beat Terano Fuji or not. We're always going to have this doubt until we can have Hakuho come back and like finish a tournament and like, you know, go into a playoff against one of the new generation guys or something like that, lose, and then like, you know, dramatically shake his hand in the middle of the dojo or something until that kind of WrestleMania moment happens.
Leave his mawashi in the middle of the dojo and walk to the back stark naked.
Yep.
You've earned this, and just walks away.
You know, you have to. New traditions start somewhere.
The sword bearer and the dew sweeper have taken on new responsibilities. They just sprint out of each side. Oh, Hakuho!
If anyone's going to start a new tradition, it's Hakuho.
Yeah. God, I really want that to happen now.
Instead of like holding the sword, they just like hold a little towel like in a position of modesty in front of Hakuho while he does his
the rag that they aggressively wash their faces with, just kind of daintily hold it up like, yep, we got it, we're good.
That ain't enough rag for Hakuho.
But I'm picturing that being like a third attendant on the dojo during Hakuho's entrance ceremony.
Wee baby Enho.
So yeah, as I was talking about, Takanosho, Takayasu, Takayumi, they all got 9 and 6 records this tournament.
You can't get it out of your head.
I mean,
That's all you're thinking about now.
all I could think about is somebody holding a tiny towel over Hakuho's privacy, and it just not being nearly enough.
Remember in
So,
Borat where there's like one guy has like a regular sensor bar and then Borat has like a 2.5 foot long sensor bar in that one scene?
Very nice.
No reason to bring that up. I was just you know asking if you guys remember that.
Yeah. So right, the remainder of the Sekiwaki and Komusubi, they all got 9 and 6 records. Hey, Mitake Yumi, it's January. He got a winning record, breaking narratives. You know, good for him.
Do you hate him yet?
I'm working on it. I'm festering something deep down inside me. We'll see if it ever grows.
Mitake Yumi won mostly in the second week.
Yeah, but did he face
Ooh.
most of his hard competition early?
No.
No.
did.
By that logic, the sun is starting to rise longer. There is more heat.
Exactly.
He's slowly
Second week,
gaining
Mitake
power.
Yumi is apparently his thing. Like that's when he shines.
It's the Escanor effect from Seven Deadly Sins. As the sun shines longer, he gains more power.
I mean, it's 100% because of the matchups, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That's beside the
Definitely.
point.
I just curious how far we were taking it.
Yeah. Anybody have anything to say about Takayasu? I think he's just been looking like Takayasu has the past few tournaments. He's been good, but not great.
I'm super jazzed because I think that it's. I am happy that we have him back, and he's at least in Sanyaku type form. I don't know if he'll ever make Ozeki again, but I'm really jazzed because this is kind of the position he was at when we first started watching sumo, where he was a Joy mainstay and like a Komusubi Sekiwake mainstay for a little while. And it's kind of nostalgic to see him up there, and I'm hoping that he can make Ozeki again.
He did beat Terano Fuji, so he's another guy with a winning record against Terano Fuji, 11 and 7.
And that basically means that he's got Asanoyama on lockdown too. So there's 2 of his
By the
hard matchups.
transitive property.
Yeah, which also means that he is able to beat Takanosho.
Fascinating.
Yes.
So in reality, he is 1-2 against Asanoyama and 1-2 against Takanosho.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Let's talk about some other guys on the Bansuke that aren't in the Sanyaku ranks. Just real briefly, I wanted to bring up my boy, Hokuto Fuji, with that sweet second-week comeback that he always seems to have. He's got to be the streakiest of all streaky sumo wrestlers, just even within one tournament where he lost 8 of his first 10 matches and then won the final 5. So, I mean, he didn't get what I was hoping for, where he had that form in like the entirety of the second half of the November tournament, where he's able to kind of like grab a belt, kind of work a slow game to steadily push them out of the dohyo. But he was able to regain his form in some way and actually got 5 straight Oshidashi wins to end the tournament. And then I also wanted to bring up Hoshoryu. I think this guy is going to be a superstar. I just look at his wins he started off 0-5, but then he rebounded with 9 straight. He's got the pedigree of Asashoryu, but then you look at the Kamarite that he used in his 9 straight wins. Sukui Nage, Uwate Nagi, Yorikiri, Tsukiyotoshi, Sotogake, Tsukiyotoshi, Okuridashi, Uchigake, and Okuridashi. Like, he's just so varied in his attacks. He's always going for different trips and just ways to trip other guys over. I think once he gets a little bit higher ranked and he can do this to the higher ranked guys, I think his popularity is going to soar, and I don't know why he isn't more popular already.
Yeah. His leg trips have been like a sight to behold. I thoroughly enjoyed many of his matches because it's perfect. Like, it's usually like a throwing defense, like trying not to get throwing, and also trying to throw the other person, and then he just puts out like a cheeky leg throw, and it's just fantastic. I'm thoroughly count me upon the Hoshoryu fanboys. I am enjoying him.
Yep, and he only ended up with the 9-6 record, which is just going to be a minimal jump up the Bansuke, so he's still going to be able to kind of find his feet a little bit more in Makuuchi and not get thrown straight to the sharks. Fleric, did we have a shark counter on how many sharks were in this tournament?
Oh, there's plenty of sharks. But as you know, I don't know how sharks work. But obviously, people can be sharks, but not everyone gets the food, I guess. Yeah.
Are we confirmed that Daisho is the only buff seal for this tournament?
Yes, which we all know is also a counter to a shark when it comes down to it. I actually would say I was thoroughly impressed with Shodai's performance. I think on the midway. What was that?
Yeah, you just said Shodai again.
Yeah, this time I actually do mean Shodai.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
sorry.
No, that's fair.
Continue
That's
on,
fair.
then.
Yeah, I've been thoroughly. He looked really, really good, and like to the point, even on the midway, I thought he was the favorite to win the basho over Daisho, and so, but yeah, he's proving himself to be maybe a buff seal shark, some kind of like hybrid between the two. It's hard to say. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed him.
There's a Venn diagram of buff seal and shark, and Shodai's right in the middle.
Mm-hmm. He's like one of those weird, like, homunculus, like, people. Yeah.
Do you know
He's
what
a weird
homunculus is?
Wait, what?
I don't think. I was, yeah, that's probably not the correct usage of that word. I'm thinking like Avatar, where they have like those like cat bears and like the seal cats. And
Chimera?
Cats.
No. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, there's a show where they have like animals that are kind of like a split between two animals.
A seal gwyn or a penguin. No, I know what you're talking about.
I think
Exactly,
you guys are.
yeah.
I think the word you're looking for might be chimera rather than homunculus.
Yes, I believe that is a lot closer. But yeah,
But Appa
Shodai
was a
is
flying
definitely a
bison.
seal shark of the two.
I wanted to bring up Hoshoryu's former rival, I guess you'd say, Naya, who now goes by Oho, who is clearly the lesser of the two. That we kind of grouped them together because they started at the same time, and they both have ancestors that did excellent in sumo, and all tournament long. And I even got in a Twitter conversation on this. I thought that Oshoryu and Ho Shoryu were the two rivals because I completely forgot what Naya changed his name to. And I'm sure that I confused at least a couple people. But Oho, the actual guy that we've kind of grouped with Ho Shoryu, in his Juryo debut, got a 5-10, so he's getting bounced right back out of Juryo. And I don't know, maybe he's just taking a little bit longer to come to form. But yeah, Ho Shoryu definitely has the better of that rivalry.
Dude's only 20, so
He's already over the hill. He's toast. There's no reason to even pay attention to the guy
He's
anymore.
done for.
Yep.
I mean, oh ho, more like oh no. Am I right?
Yeah, good one. Anyways, the other guy I wanted to bring up, because there's no other reason or time that we would, is Kota no Waka, the only guy other than Daisho to get double-digit wins outside the Sanyaku, which I still can't believe happened. Like, seriously, everybody got 9 wins or fewer below Daisho, which is just kind of mind-blowing to me. And kind of feels
I blame
like...
Kagayaki.
Say again?
I blame Kagayaki.
Oh,
No.
yeah. I mean...
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely robbed Aki Sayama.
And you know how, like, you say you would pick Hakuho on any question where there's multiple answers? Same
Yeah.
for blame Kagayaki.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
But Kota no Waka, honestly, I think he kind of got robbed of a fighting spirit prize, getting a 10-5. Like, I know it's not his like Makuuchi debut, but like, I don't know. I feel like he could have gotten that.
So there were a couple of actually almost all of the special prizes were conditional. I think the only unconditional one was maybe Teru no Fuji, or no, it was like Daisho's Shuken show or
Outstanding
technique prize.
performance?
One of Daisho's.
Yeah,
one of Daisho's was not conditional. Everything else was conditional. So Aki Sayama would have gotten a fighting spirit prize had he won his 10th match, and Koto no Waka would have won a fighting spirit prize had he won his 11th match.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'd say
But still, I could maybe the 10 mark is just like, if this is your first time, 10's good enough, but you need, or if you're Aki Sayama and we literally don't know how you're winning this many matches, 10 is enough. But maybe if you're like a young guy like Kota no Waka who's been in Makuuchi for a couple of basho, you kind of need to hit that 11 mark or something like that.
Not necessarily if you are young Midori Fuji, who also got a special prize, even though
True.
he got a 9-6, which this was his debut. M14 survived and got a special prize. Hey, the guy did fantastic. And now I can only refer to him as young Midori Fuji. Yes, that's right.
like
I
it.
went there. But also, another reason that we have come to like him is because of the departure of wee baby Enho. And in watching these tournaments, my wife would always ask, like, is Midori Fuji on? Is Midori Fuji on? Has he gotten his Kuchi Kopi?
Ooh.
And I looked at her, I'm like, Kuchi Kopi? And I'm like, no, Kachi Koshi. Kuchi Kopi is on Bob's Burgers. So, young Midoriya, you are bringing mirth into my house. So yes, you are one to watch.
Midori
Yeah.
Fuji is clearly Chad Enho.
The Chad Enho.
Yeah.
Certainly chunky
Yes.
Enho.
Who has perfected just one type of throw, because that's all he needs.
Hey, if it works, if you could do it,
Yeah,
to,
I was
like,
about to say, it
Aoyama.
worked.
Yeah. Yeah, he was looking at Takakeisho. It's just like, okay, just get really good at one thing, like pushing and thrusting. I'm gonna get really good at this, like throw. This is gonna be perfect.
If you can do it to somebody like Tobizaru, but you can also do it to somebody like Aoyama, that's all you really need. If you can use it against
Exactly.
everybody, why even try anything else?
I'm pretty sure that I saw at least one of the matches. I'm trying to think who it could have been. I'm just looking through his matches, and I'm not sure which one it would have been. But I swear there was one where he was pushing somebody out, and like at the last second, kind of like tried to wrap his arm around the other guy's shoulder to go to like try and pad the stats for a Katatsukashi. I shouldn't throw that accusation out there without being able to cite which match it is, but I know I saw it.
Yeah, just like the Shimpan saw Daisho's hair pull. We all saw it.
Yes.
So let's talk about something, unfortunately, a little bit more serious, and that is Shonan no Umi and his concussion. Shonan no Umi is a Makushita wrestler. I believe Makushita. He might be Sandanme. Somebody look that up for me real
Yep,
quick.
I'm on
yeah.
it.
Oh, actually, I just found him on the Makushita list by happenstance, so Makushita. He had a bout where it was a mata, but they both charged at each other, or at least Shonan Naomi charged, and he knocked his head against his opponent, and he was out. It took him a while to get up. When he was trying to get up, he was clearly off balance the entire time, fell over a lot. He was not in the right state of mind. The Gyoji, the Shimpan, everybody just sat and stared at him like you would a dead fish flopping on the ground, because that's what you do in sumo wrestling. There was no sign of any medical personnel around to help him out. It's just like, let's see if he can get up. The Shimpan even got together and be like, hey, this guy doesn't look too good. We still have a match to do. What do we do? And they're like, let's ask him. Let's ask the guy who, if he does really good in this tournament, can get closer to getting a salary. Let's ask him if he thinks he can fight. And of course the guy says that he thinks he can fight, and so they allow him to go on and fight the match. It took him a while to be able to get in shape for that match, but I think he actually ended up winning it, which is completely besides the point. Never should have been in that situation at all. There's a really good article by John Gunning in the Japan Times called Shocking Concussion Incident, Should Be Wake-Up Call for Sumo. Highly recommend people read that article. But I just kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on kind of that incident.
I watch a lot of mixed martial arts, and guys get knocked out in that, and from what I can tell, the what happened to Shonan Naomi is what we would often call getting f***ed up in mixed martial arts terminology. That's why that's a knockdown where the referee would have been like, no, this match is over. There's we need to stop this guy from taking any further punishment for safety reasons. Not
that's where Herb Dean would just dive out from nowhere and say just rip him off and say the match is over.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe step on the guy that's down, just because that's always just chaos when that happens. But no, jokes aside, it's yet again the medical personnel are just shamefully absent, just absolutely just embarrassing, I think, that everyone just stood there and looked at him. That alone was just heartbreaking. And then to watch him try and stand up and fail over and over again. It kind of makes me mad that he did end up winning, because people are going to use that to minimize how bad this was, how dangerous it was for him to risk getting an immediate concussion. Because if you restart the match and you have him go, he's facing the exact same amount of risk that he faced before the previous match. They didn't do anything. There's no reason to think that he would be any safer in a second match than in that first one. So, it's ridiculous.
It's even worse because once you sustain a concussion, another shot to the head, immediately after that, is so much worse than the first shot. The second one gets you even worse. So the fact that they put him in position where he could get a second concussion is just very disappointing and unfortunately not surprising.
Right, exactly. We all, if you were to say, hey, a guy gets knocked unconscious on a mata, what do you think happens? We would laugh and explain the exact situation that ended up happening. I don't know, man. But you're absolutely right. A second concussion means more than one concussion plus one concussion total. And the fact that he's already woozy means that he's less likely to be able to defend himself properly.
Yeah, it's very sad that you're saying what would happen if someone gets knocked out in a mata, and we would all probably describe exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. It's just a shame how sumo is just not really taking concussions all that seriously, and it's just. Oh, it's very, very sad. And the fact that there's no protocol, and you're going to probably talk about what they've kind of decided from there, but there's not really much protocol that's being said. But it's the fact that they asked the athlete to just say, hey, do you want to continue? I've taken some concussion training protocol when I was coaching some ultimate frisbee, and one of the first things they do is say you have to protect the athlete from himself. If you suspect, because of course the athlete's going to say, hey, no, I want to continue. I want to I want to do better so I can get paid. These are people who are outside the salary rank, which makes this even more insane. You can't. You have to take that decision out of their hands because it's terribly bad for them. And they just sustained a head injury, so they aren't thinking straight, and they aren't incentivized to not take their best health in mind.
Well, and to add to that, Fleric, you're exactly right. Having gone through one, your head is completely blank when you get hit. You might remember the initial shot that knocked you out, but after that, your mind goes through this period of reboot, really, where your vision might be a little bit hazy. You may not remember where you're at. You just kind of go on autopilot, and everything just feels like it's going in slow motion, and then slowly your body catches back up, but you are not in your right frame of mind.
Which is why, and I mean, I brought it up as a joke before, but here again, another reference to mixed martial arts. That's why you have a referee and why you have cornermen. Like, you can't let the fighter be the one who decides if his paycheck or his entire livelihood and reputation depends on being tough. And Ryan, why don't you tell us about this new rule, because I feel like this new rule will not necessarily change that.
Yeah, so as Fleric mentioned, there is a new rule that Isekahama Oyakata mentioned, and that it's probably going to be implemented before the Haru Basho. So if this exact situation were to happen again, which it will, because this exact situation happened between Hokuto Fuji and Ryuden back in 2018, so it's just a matter of when, not if, the Rikishi that has been concussed on a mata, it will become a Fusen loss for them because they will be deemed unable to compete. So it's unclear because I haven't seen the exact wording from it yet, and the rule hasn't been implemented yet. So I'm not sure if it results of them being Kyujo from that point forward in the tournament, and they'll need to be cleared by doctors before they can come back into the Basho. But I believe that's how it would work, just like any other Fusen loss, because it's going to be a Fusen loss for them. So you're absent until, like doctors say, you can come back and you give your papers to the JSA. So it does absolutely nothing to prevent concussions. It's just a way for them to kind of save face a little bit if it happens again. It's like, oh, yep, nope, he can't go. We did it. We responded. This situation will not happen again. But it doesn't do anything to address like preventing that situation from happening in the first place, which is very difficult in sumo wrestling because it's two guys ramming each other's heads into each other at the beginning of every match. I would once again recommend that John Gunning article, because he does bring up a couple of things that they could do to kind of try to prevent concussions somewhat in sumo. I don't remember them off the top of my head. I don't want to misquote it, so I just highly recommend reading his article.
Mm-hmm. I remember some people were discussing online about maybe making the Shikiri-sen like a little wider, so maybe like you're a little more fully upright when you clash together. Or even back into like the 1960s, there was a time in sumo where people actually didn't touch the ground. They just kind of like pretended to, and then they just kind of went at each other like chest to chest. But then,
I think that's one of the things that John Gunning mentioned in his article. Yeah,
like finding ways to modify the tachi-ai. Maybe just not making it so you can't go head first blindly, like head down, like right into someone's chest. Like maybe you have to have your head up or something like that. Mm-hmm. There is definitely some things you can kind of do about to make concussions happen less often, which is it's still going to be tough because this is a contact sport. There's still going to be some risk of that. But like even like making changes to make it less often would be amazing. I personally would find that as a great boon to it. But even then, if you're not going to do that, having some protocol of when they do happen and handling it correctly, I think is going to be great. Like not letting an athlete decide whether he can continue, having some medical professionals on like next to the ring so they can actually make the diagnostic, and it's not just like Shippan who knows how much medical training they have.
That's the thing, though. I think it is just going to be up to the Shippan to decide. Yeah. I think. Unfortunately, I think it's going to have to be as painfully obvious as it was this time for them to do it. It's probably going to happen again, and it's just not going to be as obvious, so they're still going to let them go forward because once again, we don't know for sure, but I don't think that they're bringing medical guys to the ringside. I think it's just going to be up to the Shimpan.
Yeah, what we know about this rule would not do a single thing to affect what happened this time. As far as I can tell, because, maybe there's some other changes, like, if this rule change did result in there being a doctor right there who is an expert who can actually make a decision, that'd be amazing. That'd be a totally different story. But what we know of it now is kind of just if they can't continue, then we would call it a Kyujo. But I'm willing to bet, just from what we all know about sumo, that the person who gets to decide if they can continue is probably still going to be that wrestler. And if that's the case, this new rule does nothing.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Kind of a downer.
Yeah,
it's not good.
So we'll move on to something a little bit not as depressing as concussions. Let's talk about Shodai versus Oki no Umi on day 11, which actually fully and completely justifies how accurate our simulated basho was back in May. Because we had a situation where in our simulated basho where match happened, it was a mono-e called Tori Naoshi, so a rematch. Happened again, another mono-e, and then the call was reversed. And I think that was one of the incidents that led us to be like, okay, we're getting too many mono-es in our simulation. Let's calm this the F down.
Was that the Kaisei match? Was that
it was
Kaisei
Ishiura?
versus
Ishiura.
Yeah, that's the one. I was like, wait a minute, that rings a bell.
Yeah, and
But,
I mean, it wasn't that it was impossible for it to happen. It was just that it was like so unlikely that we decided to rethink our system a little bit. And part of
Highly
that was also
improbable.
because the quantity of mono-es was pretty high in our simulation round one.
Turns out we shouldn't have adjusted anything at all because we come to day 11. We have round 1 of Shodai versus Oki no Umi. Oki no Umi wins! Yay! Mono-e. They call a Tori Naoshi. So their bodies kind of touched at the same time outside the ring. Could have called Shodai for a dead body rule, but they didn't because, honestly, who knows the rules of the dead body rule? I'm not too upset with their decision for a Tori Naoshi there. I don't know how any of you guys feel, if that should have been like Shodai loss and then just move forward from there. I'm not upset about it because, once again, nobody knows that rule. So
I think that I don't know. Again, speculation because the rule itself is hard to know, but I think Shodai was in the act of trying to throw Oki no Umi in the direction that Oki no Umi did kind of go. I don't know if I'm remembering it right. It could have been. It wasn't obvious that one guy was purely defending or pulling or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I think what people are pointing to that are angry about it, because I've seen plenty of people on Reddit that were angry that Okinomi didn't straight up win, was both of Shodai's feet were off the dohyo as he was being thrown, while Okinomi still had one foot in the dohyo. And so people say, okay, Shodai should have been a dead body at that point. Okinomi is still in, therefore Okinomi wins. But it is what it is. They called it as a rematch. They have round 2 of Shodai versus Okinomi. Okinomi wins again. Yay! But wait, mono-e. Call is reversed. Shodai wins this time, which that one I believe is the absolutely right call. Shodai's foot was down in the dohyo while Okinomi's toe hits the Janome, the sand just outside of the ring. So, crazy set of circumstances I don't think we've ever seen in real life, but that was just kind of really interesting to see that happen and completely justified us simulating a basho.
The simulation works.
I'm just glad that rematch was definitive and correct.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think anybody can argue against the second match being reversed.
No.
And that was the final match of the day, so it would have been the head Gyoji. So I'm pretty sure I saw on Twitter that he did the ceremonial okay, I'm going to retire, and JSA's like, no, you're not. Go back and call the matches.
The song and dance.
Yep. You got to do it. It's part of the tradition. Okay, so let's talk about the lower division winners real quick. In Juryo, we had Tsudu Gisho. This is his second career Juryo Yusho. He's been in Juryo for the past 4 basho after a 4 basho stint in Makuuchi. This should be enough to get him back into Makuuchi. Kind of an unfortunate way that he clinched the Yusho. Ikioi took his first ever Fusen loss as I believe he had a broken bone in his hand.
Ouch.
So it was Tsurugisho versus Ikioi on day 15, and if Tsurugisho lost and other people won, could have forced a playoff, but Tsurugisho got the free win due to Ikioi pulling out. In Makushita, we had...
quick thing,
sorry.
Tsurugisho from the same Heia as Daisho, so that Heia was doing pretty good.
Oitekaze has a pretty large standing in Juryo right now. So yeah, Oitekaze, Daisho, Endo, Tsurugisho, Tobizaru, Dayamami, Daisho Maru, all of those guys in Makuuchi and Juryo right now.
And with all the guys out in Juryo, I bet that was kind of a cluster for matchmaking.
How are we going to do this?
Most definitely. So Makushita Yusho, this was a wild one, but it ended up going to Sakigake. This is his first career Makushita Yusho. He's 34 years old. He's been in Juryo 4 different times, but he spent the bulk of his career in Makushita. And so he won a 9-man playoff.
Holy cow.
And so if you're wondering how a 9-man playoff works, you have each Rikishi draw lots, and it just ends up 2 Rikishi are going to face off against each other to earn the right to be the last entrants in an 8-man bracket. So pretty much 7 guys get a bye, 2 guys have to fight to determine who will be the 8th man in an 8-man bracket, and then it's just a traditional 8-person single elimination tournament. So Sakigake was actually one of those guys who had to earn his way into the 8-person tournament. He won that match, and then obviously won his remaining 3 matches to earn the Makushita Yusho. So this is a guy that got 11 Makushita matches in this basho. For Sandanme Yusho, we have Oginohama. This is his first career Sandanme Yusho. He's just a guy that bounces around between Sandanme and Makushita a whole lot. In Jonidan, we have Nogami. This is his first career Jonidan Yusho, 30-year-old, and he's actually the guy that won the Jonokuchi Yusho in the last basho. He's working his way on a comeback to the top of the Makushita division, where he got injured and he fell all the way down to Jonokuchi. In Jonokuchi, we had Atami Fuji win the Yusho there. This is his first career Yusho. He is 18 years old, and this was his first career basho. He is also a member of the...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, he's also a member of the Isekahama stable. So Atami Fuji, he goes with Teruno Fuji, Takano Fuji, Midori Fuji, and somehow weirdly Terutsu Yoshi.
What were they doing with Terutsu Yoshi? Come on.
I don't know. He goes for the Amiyuchi, man.
Another Jonokuchi storyline here. You mentioned that Sakigake got a buttload of matches in Makushita. Shonan Zakura, the former Hattori Zakura, managed an 0-8 record.
Huh?
Yeah. Everybody only has 7 matches at the bottom, except for if you do matchmaking from the top down. What happens if you end up with an odd number of, or if you have an odd number of people? So like the Bansuke, like the Torikumi, the matchmaking is done like day to day, and from the top down. So when you get to the bottom and there's an outlier, sometimes somebody has to wrestle more matches than they're supposed to, and that happens at the very, very bottom of the Bansuke. And it is also not the first time it has happened to him. It seems to happen to him roughly once a year.
I just counted. It's the 4th time he's gone 0-8.
Fight on, samurai. Fight on.
Keep fighting, buddy. You'll find your next win, since your last one was in January of 2019. It's coming.
I'd be willing to bet that if he keeps up with the 0-8s, I bet you he is going to be in the running for most Jonokuchi matches ever, eventually.
I mean...
Yeah.
He's got to be like...
Could he already be there?
Yeah. I don't think so. I looked it up one time, and there were a couple people that were way ahead of him, but I don't remember exactly who.
Okay. And then also in Jonokuchi, 50-year-old Hanakaze got himself a winning record at 4-3. So 50-year-old is still getting after it. Being in, he was in Jono Kuchi in 1986. He's in Jono Kuchi in 2021.
Is he the
Bravo.
one who's
Bravo.
holding the record from Shohan Sakura?
You can't have this yet, kid. It's mine.
He's
I do-
actually, yeah.
I'd be
He's
willing to
actually
bet
his
that he's
greatest
got
rival.
the record for Joni Dan or Sandanme, because that's where he spent the last 35 years.
Wow.
Jeez. Yeah, so Hanakaze has spent 50 basho in Sandanme, 143 in Jonidan, and 13 in Jonokuchi.
Jeez.
Has a losing record in each of those divisions.
Wow.
All right.
Man, does he make a good Chanko.
But wow.
Yeah. Couple of other notes from the lower divisions. Ura went 10-5 from Juryo 10, so he's going to continue to climb up the Juryo ranks. And then Mac's favorite lower division guy, Ryuko, he went 6-9. Unfortunately, he will be going down to Makushita.
It's okay. He'll fight back. He'll fight back.
Yep. And then let's hit on this real quick. This happened before the basho, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it on our preview episode. Another kind of downer note, but Koto Kantetsu, he was a lower division rikishi in the Sarogatake Beya. He wanted to sit out the basho due to fears of catching COVID, because as we all know, right before the basho started, there was a whole lot of COVID catching.
Hey, real quick, he's still alive. He's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The way you started
Yeah.
that off sounded ominous.
A little morbid, but no, it's okay.
Yeah. So 22-year-old wanted to sit out the basho due to fears of catching COVID. He has a heart condition that had previously required surgery, so he had good reason to not want to catch COVID because it could affect him a lot more than it affects others. So he wanted to sit out of the tournament, but the JSA was not having any of that, and so he was forced to retire by the Japan Sumo Association. A lot of backlash came out against the Japan Sumo Association, so if you want to find anything about that, I'm sure you can read about it, but just wanted to bring that up and just open it up, see if anybody had any comments about that situation.
Yeah, the big thing I think of is just when it comes to sumo, the money makers are the ones like in Makushita and Juryo. Those are the people kind of bringing people out, buying seats. The people below, they're like, it's very important to have like the system of people trying to improve and get up to the higher divisions and grow in talent. But like in the stance of like you have to like be in this basho, at least from a money making standpoint, it just, if you're in the kind of the lower division, it just doesn't make sense in my opinion. So I think it's crazy that he's being forced to just be in the basho. I think just let him sit out if he's concerned, and just go from there.
Unfortunately, I think the system is like, well, they don't have a system for just sitting out. Like, if you want to go to Kyujo, have to have like a doctor's note, and if you're not fighting, well, then I guess you're retiring. So,
it's in unprecedented times. Like we had people whole payas like go Kyujo, and they're not going to be losing a rank. So it's just make a one-time thing for the outstanding, like the crazy times that we're in. And then go back to how it's been done.
I'm sure a lot of it is that they don't want to set a precedent. I'm sure they're terrified of that, where people can just sit out whenever they want to. But like, COVID is not something that's going to come up again. It's not good. Well, I mean, it certainly will. Like every year, over and over and over again until everyone is vaccinated. But it's not the kind of situation that's going to repeat itself often enough for us to need to worry about precedent setting. I don't think.
I would agree.
Yeah, same here.
We're all on the same page here. So let's take a quick break, and we will come back with the GSB belt results and punishments for Jake and Mac. Jake and Mac, synchronized, if you can. Say my name.
Yoko.
No.
Yokozuna
Ryan.
Yokozuna Ryan. Did we get it?
No, and we're good. Move to break.
No, we can do this. Let's try it again.
Fine.
I'm going. Bye.
Yokozuna Ryan.
Yokozuna Ryan.
God damn it.
It's really hard with this remote recording,
is.
Ryan. We're trying. We're trying so honestly and not sarcastically.
All right, let's give this one final try. I will count you down, and then we'll see how you fail. 3.
Yokozuna
2.
Ryan.
There it is. Let's go to break.
Welcome back. We are going to take a look real quick at the GSB title belt, which made some significant progress this tournament. We left off, let's see, did we finish after day 7 or day 8 for our recap?
Day 8, I believe Shima no Umi held the belt.
Nailed
on
it.
The midway.
Shima no Umi held the belt at our midway episode. He maintained the belt for day 9. But then
Anybody
lost
there?
it to Kageyaki, who has a career accolade of one-time, one-match GSB champion. Luckily, that's not recorded on Sumo DB, so our joke still stands. Because, he immediately lost it the next day to your boy, Hokuto Fuji, who maintained it through the end of the tournament with 5 straight title wins. So
That's why he's my favorite.
Yep,
he's
exactly.
probably the best defending Makuuchi champ. Well, actually, Chiyanokuni did pretty good at the beginning of the last tournament.
Chiyanokuni had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 title wins in the Makuuchi division.
Hey, that's okay. Hokuto Fuji can start off the tournament with a few wins in Haru and take that
it's possible.
prestigiousness from Chiyanokuni. But that's right. My boy, everybody's boy, Hokuto Fuji, your GSB champion.
So he's at the belt started with Ichinojo at Maegashira 12. Hokuto Fuji actually finished the tournament with a win over Ichinojo at Maegashira 12, which would have been hilarious if he won it back on the last day. So the belt progressed up 11 ranks. However, Hokuto Fuji's losing record means it'll probably bounce down. He'll probably bounce down to what? What do you have him at? Maegashira 2?
Yeah, Maegashira 2, that's like an absolute lock.
Yeah, cool. That puts the belt up 10 ranks through the entire bulk of the Maegashira, which I think is pretty cool. So it could just be 1 or 2 more tournaments before we hit the very... Well, honestly, I expect at least a title match for the Ozeki and hopefully Yokozuna in March.
Fingers crossed for that. But now it's time for my favorite part of this podcast. It's the part where we all get to exult in the gloriousness that is your champion, Ryan, of the prediction series, boasting such wonderful members of my team like Teruno Fuji and Takada Fuji. Although Takada Fuji did not do his part.
I was about
pull
to
the
say,
weight.
hold on there.
But so really what I need from Jake and Mac is just to like beg and grovel for forgiveness at my feet for like 30 minutes. Good for you guys?
Sure.
We'll just assume that happens off camera. I don't want you to embarrass yourselves
Whatever.
on the podcast too much.
Ryan, Jake called you out on it, and he just moved on. Let's move on.
You got any begging and groveling, Mac? You got any in you?
A duck has better grace.
That a duck has better grace.
At long last, Yokozuna Ryan.
Thank you.
What I think is
All right.
kind of messed up here, though, is that it's purely because of bonus crap that this actually changed hands. So me, Fleric, and Ryan, all 3 of us, our champs had 11 wins, and our chumps had 6 losses, which should have put us even. But all 3 of us got different scores because of them beating each other and such and getting U-shows and Jun U-shows and whatever. Stupid.
So I ended up with 26 points. Fleric ended up with 21 points. Jake with 20 points, even though all of our Rikshis ended up with the same exact record. It's because Teruno Fuji beat Jake and Fleric's champs in Shodai and Asanoyama. Takada Fuji lost to somebody else's chump, so bonus points there. Teruno Fuji also got bonus points for the Jun Yusho, and he got a special prize, so more bonus points there. But I want to walk everybody through the final day of this competition because the scores on the final day were Mac had 20 points, I had 18 points, Jake had 17 points, and Fleric had 15 points.
Yeah, I was Googling what the heck soliloquy was, or what we had to do.
So
I was
both
sweating.
you and Mac heard soliloquy, but I listened to the tape. It's totally sonnet. And I'm the only one who actually did a sonnet for my punishment, so I feel like I should get some credit there.
Have some credit, Jake.
Yes.
So what ended up happening was Terunofuji won his final match, so that got me a point there. And then we needed Asanoyama to beat Shodai for this situation to happen, which did. So Asanoyama beat Shodai, which denied Jake an extra point for Shodai getting a win, and it also denied Jake getting sole bonus points for Jun Yusho because Shodai losing to Asanoyama got the three-way tie for Jun Yusho, which got Fleric and I 3 bonus points apiece. And then also Jake needed Akisayama to win his match because if Akisayama had won his match, not only would Fleric have not gotten an extra point for an extra Akisayama loss, but Akisayama would have gotten a special prize, which is negative points if that happens to your chump. And so Fleric would have ended up with like 17 points instead of 21. And so just a complete comedy of errors led to somehow Fleric surpassing Jake on the final day. But
I knew I was the better person all along.
Fleric was
No
literally
doubt.
in last place the entire time until the final day where he vaulted into second. And then Mac got no points on the final day. His chump won, his champ lost. He stayed at 20, which was good enough to tie him with Jake. Thus, we have 2 people tied with the loss, and I couldn't be any happier. There was a little while where I thought it was all 3 of you tied for the loss because I forgot to give Asanoyama his bonus point for beating somebody else's champ. So there's a while I thought I was going to have a 3-way loser thing, which is so much fun. I can tell you guys how great it is later. It's happened to me before, and I'll take a double loser, though. That's almost as good.
What was really messed up here, well, not messed up because I think our system is as good as it can be for what it is. But if we were only talking wins and losses, Mac would have gotten first place, and the other
Thank
3 of
you.
us would have tied for last. But
And Mac only got 5 wins out of his combined champs.
Right? That's why I was like, my chump was my complete anchor. Thank you, Koto Shoho.
yeah, Koto Shoho, absolute MVP of this tournament, though.
No kidding.
All right,
Someday
so,
teach Yokozuna. Someday.
That's Yokozuna material right there.
So let's get to it. We have Jake and Mac, who both had to prepare Shakespeare sonnets and or soliloquies. It was never made clear who can know what was said.
Literally was made clear.
So
It's in the minutes.
I will let you two figure out who goes first, what format this happens in. I'm just going to lean back and enjoy my gifts.
Sounds good. Oh, do you have any sake to share? I am also going to lean back and enjoy your gifts.
I don't drink.
My
so-
Gashira
okay.
Fleric.
More, yeah, more sake for me. Let's go.
All right, Mac, you go first since you didn't actually follow the rules.
I try not to follow the rules when I absolutely can. So, in this one, my favorite Shakespearean work is Hamlet. So this is an adaptation of Hamlet's soliloquy.
It is 14 minutes long.
Yes, yes it is. To choose or not to choose? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the supari and chimarite of outrageous fortune, or to set course against a sea of uncertainty, and by navigating, calm them. To win, to lose, to end. And by winning to dispel the heartache, and the thousand thundering applause that glory is heir to, 'tis Yokozuna Ryan, deserving of praise. To clap, to cheer perchance to reflect. Aye, there's the rub. For in reflection what humility may come, when we have recalled the path now trodden, must give pause. There's the respect that makes the calamity of the prediction series, for whom that bore the failure and disgrace of performance, the Sukebito Mac and the Sukebito Jake. The pangs of despised Tachii, the Mata's delay, the insolence of Shimpan and the Monoi's dismay, the silent hope, the unworthy dreams, when they themselves might their quietus make with bannered hiragana. Who to bear their shame, to grunt and bemoan under a cruel doyo, but that the dread of the Senshiraku, the unrealized potential from whose born no sumatori advances, vexes the mind and makes them rather bear those ills internal, to seek solace from those we know not of. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is tormented o'er with the pale cast of thought and enterprises of great wonder and bravado. With this regard, their fortunes turn awry, and lose the name of Yokozuna. Hear me now, Yokozuna Ryan. Fortunate. In thy countenance be the Sukebito's faults remembered.
Bravo.
I'm not going to pretend that I understand Shakespeare. I've never been able to comprehend his things, but Max said Yokozuna Ryan a couple of times, so I really liked it.
And cast pearls before swine, I swear.
Right? Like, that was a funny joke?
You don't even know what that means.
I get it.
There's a reason I really did not want to lose this one.
Well,
I
Ryan,
actually enjoy Shakespeare.
Ryan, I think that a sonnet would not be the end of the world for you because it's the kind of poetry that I can do, which has very rigid rules and guidelines for how it works. Therefore, you can actually know you're answering correctly. But yeah, so I didn't adapt a specific work or anything. I just wrote it in I wrote a Shakespearean sonnet, the 14 lines with the proper meter and rhyme scheme and all that junk. Yeah, rules. That's what makes poetry poetry.
And I hate poetry.
Okay.
So get it over with.
Here goes. A fresh year breaks, it hearkens stranger days, and Father Time he marches ever for. With every mighty hero that he slays, those legends die that youth may shine the more. So thus it came to pass this very month, as aged top-knots sag and lose their gleam, that younger backs are called to bear the brunt, and battle, toil, and grapple for their dream. Erratic fracas thwarts divining ends, exposed in this poor poet's shameful play. My grave prognostications hastily penned, presaged not the man who won the day. But when this champion's name is shouted true, a furrowed brow, a furtive query, who?
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 I've already forgotten who won this last basho.
It was not
Oh,
the
man, that
English
was great.
language.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we can submit this podcast to the official Shakespeare library.
Yes.
Do
Yes.
This this sonnet conforms to the rules of art. Well done.
Now get out of here.
Now be gone.
Well done, both of you. It far exceeds anything that Fleric or I could have offered.
Yes.
I will happily throw Fleric under this bus along with me because I know he feels the same.
Yes. I will jump under that bus. Let's go.
All right, let's move on to bold predictions. Let's wrap this up pretty quickly here. So, not a whole lot of good bold predictions this time.
Try harder.
We did have a few. So at Leo DV Tube, his safe prediction was Kakadu either gets a losing record or leaves early for injury. I guess not entering counts as leaving early. And his bold prediction was a Maegashira Yusho, which he got. So he got both of those. At Damoon Rules says there will be 2 Yokozuna in February. He didn't specify which 2, but he is correct. There could have been 3. There could have been none. So he got that right. At Super Sumo Bros predicted a first-time winner, which they are correct because that continued the trend of 6 straight first-time winners in the Hatsu basho.
That doesn't count as bold next year.
7 makes a trend, and you can no longer claim that as a prediction. That's just fact. We had a couple of predictions that just a lot of people had, and none of them were right. But I'm not going to take the time to call out everybody. So we had Takakeisho Yusho / Yokozuna predictions was one of the items that people predicted that Takakeisho would get promoted to Yokozuna. And then the other one that people predicted a lot was Kakuryu retiring. And so the Takakeisho Yusho predictions, we had 7 of those, but we had 13 different people predict that Kakuryu would be retiring after this tournament. So both of those were incorrect. Let's move on now to the GSB Awards. I got 2 for Daisho. The Sanyaku sweep for beating everybody in the Sanyaku ranks, which was impressive as all of those guys ended up with a winning record. But then, more importantly, the Mack Truck Award to Daisho for absolutely obliterating Takanosho on like day 7 or 8-ish, whenever that happened. I don't remember.
He really parked that Big Mac truck inside that little garage.
Hey-o.
He sure did. Is that a WAP reference that I...
Yes.
Attaboy.
Yes.
And then also a Bad Fall Award to Aqua. Fleric, I think you had mentioned that one a little bit.
Yeah, that one hurt. It was just Aqua just kind of like getting pushed or falling off the dohyo, but like he like fell like feet first and like ended up having his head just hit up on the dohyo on the way out. Ugh, well, did not look good.
And he got up, so apparently he's okay. But yeah, that looked like the worst
brutal
fall of the entire basho. And then I also want to give out the Death Stare Award to Shodai, because he was staring down the Gyoji after the Gyoji got in his way in his Day 15 match against Asanoyama. Shodai was probably going out anyways, but Shodai kind of ended up... I don't know if he stepped on the Gyoji, but he got pretty close.
Yeah,
Gyoji got in his way of being able to maneuver out of what Asanoyama was doing to him. So Shodai ended up on the floor outside of the dohyo, and he was just staring at the Gyoji for a good hard few seconds.
They did run into each other, and Shodai did end up stepping on the Gyoji's foot as the Gyoji passively ambled off in a different direction from the match.
But yeah, I actually enjoyed seeing a little bit of anger on Shodai. I think that's a foreign emotion for him.
I actually missed that stare down. I should check that out.
Yeah, check out Day 15 after their match.
I'm going to hand out the Ouch Award, which goes to Hokuto Fuji for his busted nose and the waterfalls of blood that proceeded to cascade down his body on Day 3 against Takakeisho. Wow, that was a lot of blood.
Didn't Takakeisho get some of it on him, too?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then the last award I'm going to give out is the Harvey Two-Face Award, and this goes to the Dead Body Rule, because, hey, it's a flip of the coin.
Nice.
It really is. I didn't quite know where you're going with that one, but I like it.
Does it make sense now? It's a Batman reference.
Oh, now it makes sense.
Smartass.
Well, he's earned the right to be a smartass.
Because I am?
Oh, crap, I still have to say it. Yokozuna Ryan.
Goddamn right you got to say it, and so does Jake.
Damn. Yokozuna Ryan.
All right. And our
I love how giddy you are.
I just love being superior to people. All right.
Only in your mind.
And the match of the basho, we had quite a few candidates this time. We had Koto Shoho versus Tamawashi on Day 3, Takakeisho versus Hokuto Fuji in that bloodbath also on Day 3, Hoshoryu versus Koto Ueko, Day 7, Shodai versus Terano Fuji on Day 14, Teritsuyoshi versus Koto Shoho on Day 14, and Hoshoryu versus Shima no Umi on Day 13. But by a vote of 3-1, Shodai versus Terano Fuji is your match of the basho, in no small part due to Terano Fuji's miraculous escape at the edge of the dohyo, his little spin away that I did not think a person of his size and knee health was capable of.
Yeah.
I think one of the other things that kind of hurt this basho in my eyes was there was a bit of a lack of high profile dramatic matches, and Shodai vs. Terano Fuji got my vote because it was one of the few matches that decided the basho in the second half of the tournament. And obviously every match matters, but for Daisho going through all of his tough matchups in the first week, Did it feel kind of like anticlimactic as far as like drama matches towards the end for you guys?
Oh,
totally.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Daisho had all of what would be his exciting matches in the first week.
Yeah.
He
there-
won
there-
them all.
Yeah, there was a chance of like playoffs, so like there was definitely some tension. But the fact that Daisho's match went first and like it decided the show, it just kind of like instantly went away from there.
Yeah. All right, let's go real quick and say everybody's favorite moment of the basho. Jake, why don't you start us off?
Honestly, it's both of my pets that had huge health trouble being fine. Like that's, like I said before, it was a bit of an anticlimax for the basho. So gotta keep my priorities straight there. But no, if I'm gonna pick a moment, I honestly I don't know. I think it was kind of meh as far as like actual drama compared to some of the bashos that we've had. But I guess I'll fall back on an easy answer and say that like most of the guys I like did good. I liked seeing Takayasu winning in the Sanyaku again.
Yeah, I kind of have to throw my hat in the same ring as Jake. I think the basho overall, as far as drama and excitement, was meh. So I'd have to say my favorite part of the basho was watching Day 15 unfold in the way that it did. That allowed me to win the prediction series. that was really special.
Who
for
could have
Ryan.
guessed that?
Mm-hmm.
And if I had to choose something on the dohyo, I'm going to say Hoshoryu's 9-match win streak. I think that was really cool. The variety of sumo that he showed, the ability to come back from an 0-5 start to put something together like that. So that was really fun to watch. Mac or
Yeah.
Flair, whoever wants it.
I was going to say, go
Okay.
ahead, Flair.
All right, the thing that it definitely I do enjoy the parody, and I very much like the fact that 3 people got the Jin show at the end. And it's kind of like it definitely was like last basho was kind of hyping up to like one big ultra basho where there's a bunch of storylines. There's like a Yokozuna run, there's another Ozeki run. It might be the last basho for both the Yokozuna going on. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out because of some stuff you just can't control, unfortunately. But
Shodai
like
and
this was,
Asanoyama locked up their like they cleared Kadoban. Like that wasn't dramatic, really. It just happened.
yeah, well, they did it pretty early, but the fact that they did it, I'm actually really happy, and the fact that they brought it back to like a 3-way playoff in Jinyu show. The thing I was trying to get to is like this is another kind of nice tee up for the next basho, which I thoroughly enjoy. Like we still have the same 3 Ozeki. We lost the potential Yokozuna run from Takakeisho, but we also gained like a Terano Fuji. He just has to get 10 wins and he's going to become Ozeki. And then hopefully we get both Yokozuna healthy back again to kind of show all these Ozeki what's up. And I don't know, I think it was kind of another good setup basho for the next one, which I think it's a thing I'm kind of taking away from this. We have some cool storylines going forward.
For me, I would just have to say, since I'm a huge Asanoyama fan, just seeing him recover and retain his Ozeki status, that sold it for me.
All right. So that's going to wrap up our coverage of the Hatsu basho. So if you enjoyed this podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review at Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
You can find us on social media. Search for Grand Sumo Breakdown on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
GrandSumoBreakdown.wordpress.com is our blog.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
So coming up next week, we will have my prediction for the Haru basho. We probably got some other bonus episodes that will get out before the Bodsuke is released. But until then, I think that's about it, and we will see you guys later.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time, throw your salt high
And keep moving forward.